Maybe like a kidney stone.
Sorry, you might.
Well, hey, this is a priority. Well, guess what? We're gonna have another one again next year, okay? Yes, ma'am, so.
No,
Hey, Chief, did you know the other day?
You can use my iPad.
I beat your,
Mr. Voting, we should only have.
Which fire?
down the street.
Well, and it's not,
Talking about on night of the theater?
You wanted to read?
You beat our boys there?
Yeah, I was.
Well, I guess that's.
Guy there.
Oh, really?
Back there, me and the gal.
Be like,
And I was coming around the
yeah.
corner and pulled up, I guess we had like out.
Yeah.
And then,
And it keeps changing a little cooler, yeah.
she was trying to call me, and I was too small, I went like that.
This is right around the corner when it happened, you know? I think what I was there all.
Yeah.
I'm like, it might be cool now.
It was.
I want to tell people, sure,
What was that? Yeah.
I mean, we got some about 2.5 hours, and they had this electrical, there is a real thing. And it went all the way.
There's nobody explanation.
Where it sorted, it went straight.
It's not real job.
I own my own business. Yeah, that's all I thought.
Oh, man, that was very.
You're a small business owner.
That is good, that was good, they all spray paint, just put it in, they just start popping off. So they did that, that's just ignited everything. Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We're right here.
No, get me out there.
They're just going in the garbage.
Old man.
How are ya?
How are you? What you're gonna do with it?
Is everybody ready? All right, I will call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. And, first thing on the agenda is please join me with, for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is roll call.
All right. Mayor Terry Wyckoff,
Present?
Vice Mayor Jacqueline Wells. Here. Councilmember Aaron Durst.
Here.
Councilmember Darrell Gardner.
Here.
Councilmember Jabari Martinez.
Here.
Councilmember Linda Smith. Here. Councilmember Chris Weisenberg.
Here. Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is, under unfinished business is, our work on the second reading of, our annual budget. Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to approve on second reading and waive the reading of the ordinance adopting the proposed fiscal year municipal annual budget 2021 to 2022 as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve on second reading and waive the reading of the ordinance adopting the proposed fiscal year municipal annual budget 2021-2022 as presented. Is there any comment, Sean?
Yes, I want to ask a couple of questions tonight on the budget. And first I wanted to just give everyone an update that we did receive a draft of the financial audit, and it appears that it was pushed through kind of quickly. I think there's some issues that Jody's kind of found looking at it, so we're gonna kind of keep working with them until it looks correct, so. Anyway, there's that. One question I wanna talk about is just positions. I just kind of wanna firm up where we're at. In the general fund, we have the economic development director, grant writer, recreation programmer, and code enforcement officer. Does the council still feel pretty good about those positions?
I do.
And then on the enterprise side, we have administrative secretary 2, and then as recycling operator from half-time to full-time. I actually would like to give Danielle a second to visit about those if you would.
Yeah. Do you guys, I prepared a bunch of stuff, like, am I going full into it? Do you guys want, or is that the plan?
Yeah, put
Okay,
on the needs there.
okay, well, I
Whatever it
actually,
takes to give us a thorough understanding, and you gotta realize we're not very,
okay. So I have something that we're gonna talk about later, so don't peek at the first page, okay? Promise? But this will just, I think, visually kind of help, and there's some information, so. No peeking. You want one too? You want one? Of course. Can we get, oh, sorry. You want it too? Okay, so, just like I said, the first page is about something we'll talk about a little bit later, but I guess I wanna talk about these positions a little bit. So we do currently, right now, have an admin secretary for the Community Development Department. She actually does work for both Public Works and for Community Development. And I did, if you look at the second page, it's just a little chart. So I actually went through and, was trying to think of everything that we do that the admin does for both departments. So I've kind of merged them together because in a perfect world, these two people, while they are different departments, they do cross-train and offset each other, so that if community development admin is gone, then Public Works can step up and vice versa. The other benefit to having the two is we actually can remain open through lunch, which is huge for a lot of people that they'll run over on their lunchtime to pull a permit. And that's sometimes the only time they're able to do that. So I did, like I said, go through, and this is not fully inclusive, but I mean, we issue permits, we do phone calls, we have Planning Commission, Board of Adjustments, Urban Systems, we prepare the meetings, we actually attend the meetings, and then we do all the follow-up work with that. We process the applications that go to those boards. We sort everyday inspections that our building official does so that we can file those and then retain those records. We do public records requests, research, we schedule all of the burials, which this one I would say is hard to really track how much time we spend because it is very, it changes. I mean, I can tell you right now this year, it has been, I think with COVID and people held off to have services, it's been insane. Last Friday we had 4 services in one day. So there's times where we'll spend a lot of time, and then there's a week where we'll maybe only spend an hour. But anyway, what I did is, for the admin, the top bar is our need. So this is a monthly need. We have the need based off of just our regular duties, and I went on the very low side, assuming things are just status quo, we're not busy. 303 hours. We currently have 1 full-time admin in community development, so that gives us 160 hours. So you can see we're short. If we had the 2, that would give us 320 hours. which would put us a little bit over the 303, and that doesn't mean they'll just sit around for the rest of the time. That means they'll be doing all of this stuff plus, you know, organization or keeping up when we have really busy weeks. I mean, there's always something to be done. So I guess I wanted you guys to be able to kind of visualize the need in this. But if you have questions specific to that position, I'd be more than happy to answer them or concerns or anything along those lines. Before I talk about the next.
Councilman Smith?
These position, or the admin position has already been filled, but what you're asking for is that second one, and it is not in the budget, is that correct?
Correct, it is not.
To be added in, okay.
Yeah. So we actually used to have an admin for both departments, and then when they were merged, it went away. We are able to keep up on things right now solely because I actually work up front with Tanya, and I help offset a lot of that. I do the phone calls, I still prepare all of the boards. I'm absolutely not opposed to doing that at all. I don't mind helping, but it does take away from my regular responsibilities and duties in my position. So it is hard, it's a hard balance. You know, I can tell you I work a lot of overtime. There's a lot of nights I'll go home and have dinner with my family and then come back to work until 10:30 or later. So, I mean, we're getting it done, but this would be a more efficient, better way for the employees too, and to have that resource. So it's a needed position. And like the other benefit I kind of touched on is cross-training. You know, if in the event that we lose a secretary, we have that other person that can really fill in and step up and help, and we're not putting ourselves in a position where we have no coverage. You know, recently that happened. We lost an admin, and it came down, I was the only person in the city that could issue a permit, and it's hard. So it's definitely a very important position. I cannot stress enough. I mean, and our admin people are seriously the backbone. We all need them so much.
Do we have the money to change that?
It is, and I believe it's embedded in the numbers that are already in the budget.
So if we do nothing, we will have
No changes to the
accounted
budget.
for this, the position, because it does sound to me like it's necessary.
Correct.
Yeah, it's also split among several funds because the secretary helps, which makes it not so much of a burden on a specific fund, which is good.
Okay.
Um,
Councilman Smith?
I would like to know, I guess, but this is going to be at Jody. Now, we're waiting for more capital projects. If we wanted to add a couple capital projects, are we waiting until after June 30th so that we know how much we have in our carryover?
Thank you for asking that, because that's one of the issues I wanted to address. I have two I wanted to make a point of. That's the second issue, is we don't know what the carryovers really will be until the year has gone by. And so in July, I'm prepared to figure out what those carryovers are by working with all the departments and making sure that we have the appropriate carryovers. So, if you want to add anything at this point, I would recommend that spend the time, because there's a lot of moving parts to the budget right now, that I would have to go back and readjust. So, it would be better if we did that in July.
The reason I asked that, Mayor, was that, I took a look at some of the capital items again, and of course, there's a couple that are near and dear to my heart, except I went back to what is the greatest need that we have. And I took a look at the landfill, and the equipment out there is one hour away from breaking down, and old, and I don't know how we can continue to do our jobs out there in the best way and most efficient way if we don't have the right tools for our people. So I would like to have the council, maybe not today to add it back in, but maybe consider for the capital list to be sure and get our scraper and our loader lease. I don't know which one of these we funded. I don't think we did either one. I think we took both of those out, correct?
I believe you did the scraper.
there was two things that we had fund that I felt we needed to do. And then the skidster for the, sewer treatment plant, that is also, they're borrowing another skidster from a different department, and that skidster sometimes is needed in another department. And I'm not sure, but I think that skidster, it was getting older, yes, but I think that had water damage or something in that flood, I wasn't sure. I think it was down in that water, down, the well, not well, but the drive-in where the, garage doors were. And so I think we're trying to get some money back from insurance on some of that for the treatment plant. But I would like to ask the council to consider a new skidster for the sewer treatment plant. Those are the three things that I really would like us to talk about. And then, I think there was some concerns that if we, until we get all our firm numbers on hiring, or maybe not hiring anyone, I didn't mean that. I've been running around today, guys, and talking too much. But my concern, and I think other concerns were here that I heard from other people, that we have, be assured of our numbers, number one. Number two, do not hire except for the ones that you're currently hiring in public works and things that are already in the budget today, but have a hiring freeze on those until we know what our budget looks like. And I would hate to ask that, but I think that'd be prudent.
Just a clarifying question, if I may?
Yes.
Are you referring to the audit, and we get those numbers in the fund balance numbers?
Yes, and what I want, Jody, I know to meet state statutes, we can add a few things here, knowing full well that we're gonna have to come back in July,
Right.
take a look at our, carryover for our capital projects, pick out which ones we feel are prudent, or maybe not do any, or any adjustments that we wanna make to the budget. We can do that in July.
Sure.
And still meet all the state requirements, and call this our projected budget, I guess, what we'll call it, and then we'll do some real work in July on refining it. Is that what you're thinking, Julie?
Yes, because the budget is only a roadmap. The way that I view it is, if you're going on vacation and on a road trip, you may blow a tire and you're gonna have to stop and take care of that. You may come across an event you didn't know was there, and you wanna take advantage of that. So a budget is not written in granite. It's really a guide and basically a roadmap. But it should be flexible enough to take care of the needs as they arise.
And the other issue I'd like to bring forward too, there was a number of items that we did not fund for public works. And one thing that I think they need in Parks and Recs is that one of those mower things. And there's an issue with, I think, a card, beverage card out at the golf course. So those are some items that, we need to take a look at. But the other thing I wanted to say, when we looked at the enterprise funds, we kind of know where those are looking, and they're looking not like what I thought they would be. And the audit will clear some of that up. And then we can make some determinations on what we need to put back into those items. But we did not fund a bunch of vehicles and requests like that that are needed. So that one way that I thought we could handle that, is through the fleet, look at a fleet plan of vehicles of some kind, under, some kind of the administration, or the Public Works Administration, that we lend back to those departments like landfill, other public works, special funds, enterprise funds, and they would pay all the maintenance and stuff on them, for, like they're leasing from that department is what I'm thinking. Or they cover, we wouldn't be leasing, but the idea would be, we have a fleet plan under one department, and then they assign them out to those enterprise fund departments. Because then, we can always reconsider at some point, the enterprise fund wants to pay back that, general fund, they can do that. But now, we would still have the equipment that we needed, and this is all based on our carryover, by the way. Does that make sense?
Yes, I just wanna say one thing. I think it's my understanding the golf problem is solved.
Is it, I didn't hear that yet,
It was in the budget from last year.
was it?
The other thing I'd like to mention is, it seems like some of the things, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, what I'm saying is that, we're gonna discuss some of these items that you brought up in July.
Yes, that's my
So
intention.
it shouldn't, does it have, or you're just giving her the information that we might
Yeah.
make those changes?
That, I'm just giving you the information that I think that these are really sorely needed, and I want you to consider it. We can put it in the budget tonight, or we can wait till July till we know what money we have. But either way, I think they're so needed, to continue to do what we need to do.
Well, you know, I also see a shortage in people working, the recreation department. You know, they're having to put a couple people here and then run two here, and we need to be looking at something like that, I realize that some of the stuff that you're talking about is very important. But I would like to see us concentrate a little bit on maybe picking up 3 or 4 people to bring them back to work.
Would, is seasonal or full-time?
I would think full-time, but I don't know. Like I say, I don't know what kind of money we're talking
You
about.
know, I don't either, that's why I'm being careful.
Till July. But I just wanna throw that out. I really are concerned that we keep adding stuff on, adding things on, and then we don't have the people to cover it. And that's starting to bother the city a lot. So anyway, that's my take on that.
Yeah, with positions, here's what I worry about, just to be very frank with everybody. I see where we have some revenue generation that was coming our way, that's basically ours for doing the right project, picking the right things like on the infrastructure funding, that Sean handed out. There's already money out there waiting for people to apply for water projects and those kinds of things. Also broadband and all that we can do for economic development. But when it comes down to adding positions, we can get some money generated in the next 2 or 3 years, but the curve on the money that we have coming from, impact funds, not impact funds, but from Choke Cherry, you know, the money we're getting for our general fund could in 3 years not be there. And if it's not there, then you have to start looking at who gets cut from the budget. And I don't like talking that way in front of employees because I want everybody to know their values. But I feel like we have to be realistic that we add so many positions, we need these positions, yes, but how long can we maintain that general fund budget at the income that we have projected? And then if Choke Cherry goes away, do we have anything on the horizon in Wyoming that will still get? Now, there's only 2 counties in Wyoming that are doing well right now, Carbon is one of them. So that's my major concern where I'm coming from.
Councilman Weisenberg?
Yeah, I would, agree with Linda too, also on the, holding the positions off, until we get those comparables and we know, we can do our due diligence in making sure we don't create that hassle and negative funds if that was to occur. Also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, for the equipment on the rec center, I think, we discussed about putting almost all the pieces of equipment into the capital purchases or projects for them during that.
I think we did, yeah,
So I think,
except we left a couple things out. And one of them was that mower,
I think I think
That's
what
the
was,
green
the green spaces has that 72-inch deck mower. I think what was left out is, the restrooms at the park.
yeah, the 150 like that.
Yeah, I think that's what was left out, and they were going to look into maybe a grant for that. I think that's about the only thing that was left out, if I'm recalling everything. But according to this, it's all right here, the green space, rec center, and golf
Is that
up
the
here.
new one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
So,
I should look at my stuff, huh?
I'm just saying, I think that's what was agreed, discuss all that, so.
Okay, thank you for letting me know that, I appreciate it. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
Just point of clarification, we also removed a pro gator, I believe the cost was $30,000 from the golf course budget for the capital improvement.
So it was the Gator and
And the restroom.
And the restroom.
Yeah, those
Okay.
are the two.
But we left one gator in, is what I see in the budget. Is that right?
I'm seeing that too, also, the, Pro Gator, John Deere work vehicle was left in that budget, under the golf course.
Right, okay, my apologies, it wasn't a pro gator, it was actually a mower, a greens mower, that's what it was.
Oh, the
It was
green,
a greens mower that we removed from the golf course.
That was
Okay.
there. Oh, not for golf course.
yeah, okay.
So anyway, that's my page.
Is there any further discussion, Councilman Durst?
Just a couple quick things, and you're off the hook, I won't hit you with anything. I'll third, I guess, at this point, that once we get the audit and it's all locked in, then I would support adding the positions. I just think that we should hold tight until, as far as adding new positions, I'm comfortable with where we hit. I would just ask we wait until we lock that all down. Then the only other second side note I had was for Sean, as far as when we were talking about doing the economic development and the branch writer and all of that, at one point I thought we had talked about, prior to hiring those positions, you would kind of bring like your planned, hierarchy, if you will, of how it would run and operate, and I would still like to see something like that, like just before the position I would just like to see your plan for how it would look, right? So this person is in charge and you have this under it, or just the dynamics of that. Yeah, the org chart, thank you.
When we.
Flow chart or
Well,
plan?
yeah, just some kind of, this is my general thoughts on how this would look. I get that it might change because tomorrow's a new day, but
Yeah, we can bring that when we talk
And
about
that's it.
positions
So
again.
that's all I have to say.
I agree with that. Any further discussion?
I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
one more point I would like to make is, the budget is fine, but when I do the narrative, or the resolution, I don't have the, railroad property taxes yet. Last year, my contact at the county said it was 1.3 million, and so that's what I've added in here. But, I have to amend that resolution once I get those figures. The kicker is, we have to approve this by the 15th. The state doesn't have to get it to us by the 15th, from what I am told. So, that may be like a last 11th hour, literally, that I will get that number, and I have to correct that. So, any changes, I wanna give you a heads up, that will change, but the budget will not. What I have here will not.
I was thinking for 2 seconds there about the, other employees, and I agree we should hold off till we know where we're at, but the people that need them, don't give up hope, because, lawnmowers don't mow lawns, people mow lawns, so.
Yeah, I'm not out of the question.
Right,
Just-
I wanna make it clear, that's where I'm at too.
Agreed.
I would do everything I can do to get the help we need, because we have asked a ton of things to be done that, above and beyond whatever's been done before, and it's gonna take more people. Just that simple. So while I don't mind waiting, and I think it would be prudent to wait, I just want you to know it's not,
Just a stall give.
it's not a stall tactic. Sean?
So we'll go ahead and pull the positions out for the final reading, and then, if I'm understanding correctly, the current capital as it is, we can keep that in there, and then we'll have further discussion to see if we need to add, or is that what I'm understanding on the capital side?
Councilman Smith?
My intent was to, whatever's in the budget, let it stay, so we don't,
Okay.
let it stay. We add any new positions, then we'll have to add those back in after June 30th.
If I may, I would like to offer a different recommendation, is because there are moving parts in that it has ripple effect. So if I change something, it has a tendency to change other numbers. I would leave it as is with them included, with the stipulation that if they are not funded, that money cannot be used for other things. And then Stephanie and Sean and I would track that and make sure that we uphold that.
It would make it easier if we could keep it, and
Yeah.
it does impact a bunch of
Don't
things.
read our numbers.
Could that
But we
be put
can
on a hold
Yeah, we can just.
in there,
That's
like,
what I'm talking about.
put a hold
Yeah.
on, and then it comes back to council before?
And I've done little footnotes,
It needs to
before.
be specifically referenced in the ordinance if you were placing a freeze, because once it's allocated, the city manager, although I know he wouldn't do it, technically could move forward with those positions without coming back to the council. So I would definitely have kept staff at that.
I would also add that we can budget whatever we want, but every single thing in that budget is contingent upon cash flow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Simple
And I
as
will
that.
say
So
no, I have no problem.
some of those
saying
things work themselves out. Some of the things we plan to do, we planned a lot, so some of it's not gonna get done. So that means that money's not gonna get spent and so forth and so on, but, by leaving them in there and leaving things as is, we're not hurting anything.
No, you're not. And I am more than willing to put that note in the ordinance, that is a caveat.
Is that going to not hinder you, Sean? It does not, I wanna make it clear, does not refer to the public, works directors that you have already been interviewing for, any of those positions that you have open and need to fill. They're ongoing and they're budgeted already. I'm referring to I'm gonna say brand new positions that were created. And so I think that makes it clear, hopefully that does, and then.
So we continue as is through the end of the year and revise it when early next year.
That would be what I suggest.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
When you say early next year, you mean fiscal year?
July.
Yes, yes.
July.
This time I live in 3 years,
Well,
past, present, future.
We're just gonna call this
Well, I know that government travels at the speed of government, but any further discussion?
I know you guys made your decision, but I do wanna just, for transparency purposes, I did the same thing with the recycle center operator. The chart is on the top of there and listed their task and how long it takes them, and like, I know we already hatched all this, so I'm not saying do anything different, but, they do have a need to go move that person to full-time. Right now, they're sending out a truck a week, so it's been, crazy, and we have all pulled together to help them, but tomorrow's streets is gonna be helping, but that, again, would just be immensely beneficial to our employees, so that they're not being ran into the ground, so.
So is that position in or out of the budget at this time?
It is in,
And
it's,
currently,
Yeah, okay, then that one line item, okay.
and again, I'm not saying change your mind, I just, for transparency, wanted to touch on that one too.
Thank you, because I thought we had to add.
one comment on that one too is, I know Daniel's looked at some additional revenue sources by putting the side building to be able to collect other, recycle items in there. I think that in order for us to go part-time to full-time, we do need to have some additional revenue, because normal operating expenditures will be less than revenue unless we do that. If we can do that at the same time and start getting revenues in, then I'd be okay with that.
Do you want me to, that's the first page that I told you no peeking at, do you wanna talk about that now?
Yeah,
or-
I think you may as well.
Before we wrap up with the budget.
I believe,
Okay, now, this position is coming out of enterprise funds, so that would only affect it if we have to loan money back, if our enterprise funds are not meeting where we need, and so that will, have to look at our fees again in July. But that will give us a full picture of what we need. But yeah, if it's in enterprise funds, you can always adjust things to make revenue come in. That's where the general fund, you have to work with what you get. The other funds, you can we'll have to do some studies and see, make sure that we're on sound footing for those, but that's in the future.
So Danielle, do you wanna explain?
Yeah, so,
Page one.
when we first talked about capital items in the budget, specific to recycle center, I had told you guys, that we should look at doing a lean-to so that we could ship single item commodities. However, at that time, I didn't have a good information for you or very much, so I have actually, with Pat's help too, I've not done this myself, but we've talked to Bo with Interwest Paper, we've looked at some different things. I actually met with a contractor on site too. Right now, pricing for construction materials, as I'm sure you all know, is outrageous. So I am proposing that we budget $100,000 for a lean-to. We are going extremely basic. I am hoping that is far too much and that prices start to level out, but I wanna make sure we have enough and I don't have to come back and request an amendment. So I know that seems like a lot of money. Well, it is. It doesn't seem like it. It's a lot of money, but I think that we have a lot of potential, and what we're lacking right now to move forward is storage. So I did two kind of charts, on this. The top one says currently, we send mixed loads. And I guess, let me preface this before I get into it too much. The market right now, for recycled materials is down. This is, I would say with 100% comfort, that this is the worst it's been since I've worked for the city of Rollins. The recycled market does fluctuate, but it is bad. These numbers are based on this market now that is not good, so this picture will change hopefully. In fact, we talked to Bo today, who informed us that recycled materials are starting to go up, but he did not have an updated price list for me. So, with that being said, all of this will either get worse or better. So, right now, like, going back, we send all mixed loads. We are currently losing about $400 per truck because the market is so bad. With us sending a truck per week, that is a lot of money. So that equates to $19,200 a year that we're losing. And again, this is based off of bad market. If that goes up, we potentially would lose a little bit less there. But it's definitely not a good situation. We are in the red, and, so then the second box, this is where I think we have some opportunity. If we send, cardboard is our biggest item that we collect. It's also our biggest moneymaker. If we send a truck of just cardboard, we will make $750 per truck after we pay the expense of hauling. Now, I do wanna be clear, the expense to haul a single commodity truck is more, because what happens is we cut out that middleman. Instead of our materials coming from Rollins to Salt Lake and then being dispersed, we ship it right to the person that's going to take it. But even after that increased cost, like I said, $750 annually. Mixed paper, that is actually a wash right now based on the market. If the market increases, we would be in a money-making position sending just a single load of mixed paper as well. That's probably our second highest, or not probably, it is our second highest paying commodity. Now, the other part of this that I put in there is mixed load still. And the reason I did this is because I do think it will be a challenge to send an entire truck of aluminum cans. It would just take us so long, and we would have to build a massive lean-to, and I don't think that's the best way to do so. We would still lose money potentially on the market though there. However, with the amount of increase we'd make from cardboard and everything, we would be looking at $13,000 in the positive rather than $19,000 negative. So I know that, again, the $100,000 is a huge request, but I think the sooner the better. We are, like I said, losing money. We could get ourselves into a position where we're at least making some money. I would be more than happy to look at the new numbers and show you what that would look like, but just know this is a really bad situation, so it can only be better. And I guess if you guys have questions, I would love to try to help answer them. A couple things that I didn't put in this, because again, I wanted to just be like, this is kind of the low side of things. If we ship directly, we would no longer have to do pallets, so we wouldn't have the cost of purchasing, which is another money-saving item. We also, I lost my train of thought, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was gonna say.
You're saving us money at this point, right?
Yes, we're just saving money.
Just good tips.
It's all good. I did reach out to Saratoga too and talk to them about their operation, just because I was curious. They use the same company, so I felt like that was a good comparable for their commodities. They use Interwest. They actually recently did the same thing. They built a whole full building. It was probably cheaper for them when they did it, but they, ship single commodities so that they can make some money too. So I think it was a 60 by 40, they said. And then I guess the other thing which is a little bit off topic, but I gotta throw it out there. We currently pay citizens 25 cents per pound for aluminum cans. And right now, aluminum cans are making 40 cents per pound. And then we pay to ship them too. So while we're talking about this fund and doing all these different things, I do think that that's maybe a conversation or a thought that should be had too. I know I'm a avid recycler and try to use it as much as possible. If you decided to not pay me 25 cents per pound, I will not miss out on the $6 a month I get. It's not gonna make or break my budget, and I'm still gonna take those things because I'm gonna take it to recycle for free and not pay the landfill fee. I know I'm only speaking for myself, but I do wonder if that shouldn't be a conversation that's had as well, because we do currently budget $6,000 a year for customer payouts on those items. But again, I'm not saying you have to do anything with that, just some food for thought while we're having the conversation.
The market goes, I've seen aluminum worth, aluminum cans, the can man or whatever in Cheyenne. A lot of clubs collect their cans, take it down, and it's their fundraisers and stuff like that. I do know that there's times when the city doesn't pay, even close to, that, but you don't have to drive Cheyenne, number one. Number two, when the prices are down like this, we probably should adjust to the market so that the shipping of them and stuff, we're at least making something.
Right, and the only hard part to adjusting to the market, we get an updated price list every month. And right now, cardboard's $30 a ton. Last year this time, it was $150 per ton.
Yeah.
And that was with a mixed load. It's more when you send it, but, so it fluctuates a lot. It's crazy. And I was really hoping, as soon as I get that updated price list, I can even send that out to you guys. I know Bo said they were working on it, but they have changed for the better. But it is definitely kind of crazy market.
All over the board
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah. Councilman Smith?
I thought, no, I should say, I sound like I'm back on the farm. I received, something on my, telephone yesterday on my iPhone about wood prices from the National Real Estate Association or wherever it was from. But they're talking about the unavailability of lumber, but they're saying that they're blaming it on COVID and shut down mills and stuff, but things are starting to move a little bit. It'll be probably fall before we start getting the product flow through. So just keep that in mind a little bit, that, they're telling us that, they're high now. Probably still be high in the fall, but the product is, the availability of products is what the problem is at this time. And so when that starts going again, we'll have a better read on what the lumber prices will be.
Right. And we were going to just do, to match what's existing, just metal, that commercial metal, grade metal siding, and it is just the roof, the back side, and the sides. The, main entrance will be open, but that's the side against the wind, and, cause really we're just wanting to prevent it from blowing into Nebraska, and prevent it from getting wet and soaked with the rain for the cardboard.
Danielle, did that one west side get fixed? I think it was dented in or something on the main
at recycling.
Yeah, not recycling, I'm talking about the landfill building where you take your refuse.
Oh, that needs a
Where you
lot
dump.
of attention.
Yeah,
South and west.
yeah, I was thinking it was almost, it dented and had some air coming through or something when I was out there.
I can check on that,
Yeah.
there's a lot of work. I know we've done some temporary repairs and things to that, and it's in our 10-year to, rebuild that because it's in really poor shape.
And now, will that go in when, we were talking about getting a new, what do you call it, when, not the conveyor belt, but the trash compactor part?
Baylor.
Thank you, yes, baler. We were talking about getting one of those at one time.
I don't have anything in the plan to do another baler or anything.
Okay.
I think we were just looking to do a building where we could operate as we are now, but be more efficient and get that wall where it's patched. Really, when you're in there, that concrete wall should probably be higher or reach something. Definitely make it more efficient, but I think we'd operate as we do
As we
today.
do now, not a baler, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clear up my mind.
Any further discussion? Can you open online voting, please?
But can you allow me to yell, please? Yes.
I must be disconnected, yes.
Yeah, that's me too. I started.
yes.
Online voting has not closed, the motion carries with 7 yeas.
Thank you. Give me 1 second here. I apologize, I didn't realize I booted out. All right, so the next thing on our agenda is the, first reading of, the modification to the fencing code. Do I have a motion? Councilman Martinez?
Let me get on it first. Okay, I would make a motion on first reading, amending Rollins Municipal Code Section 19.40.050 fences, adding livestock fencing as a permitted material for landscaping, tree, shrub, garden, and flower bed protection.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to, move to approve on first reading an ordinance amending Rollins Municipal Code, Section 19.40.50 fencing, hereby permitting the use of livestock fencing outside of an R-A zone for tree, shrub, garden, flower bed protection only, and waive reading of the ordinance. Any discussion on this? Councilman Smith?
May I ask Amy, our council question? She called me. Now, on regular ordinances that are, I'm gonna say civic or not felony, or not criminal, but civil, the rule basically is if, criminal tells you what you can't do, but ordinance can tell you what you can do.
So this is, you're correct.
Okay, so if we had not, by omission, put in the, language that we separated out landscaping, trees versus perimeters and boundary fences around properties versus just trees and landscaping, that is what we're trying to correct this evening, but we're not in violation because there was nothing prohibiting things around trees at this time. It was just around property barriers, and therefore it was not clear in the ordinance. Is that correct?
So the definition of fences is what's problematic. It doesn't differentiate between landscaping and boundary fencing. And so under the code, it gives a list of permitted construction materials. And unfortunately, it specifically identifies that this livestock fencing, hog wire, and similar, fencing is only permitted in an RA district.
Agricultural.
Yes. And so it's not a permitted use outside that area. What is being presented to you tonight is the permission to be able to use that material out within the city across the board for landscaping protection.
But we've never enforced against any property owner, anything that would, when they're putting it around their trees or trying to improve their property, we've never had issues with that, correct, in prior years?
I'm not aware of any code enforcement violations that have come across our desk. I would defer to code enforcement for their records, but I'm not aware of any,
So, I'm sorry to cut you off, but bottom line is that there really has not been, I guess an admission to me, forgetting to put something in is not, it's not as bad as if you put something in that says you can't do it, but, and I understand your explanation and I appreciate that. So having said that, I think this ordinance is very clear and we need to do it. And I think it's in the best interest of the public to do it. And it's in our best interest to do it. And, but further claim to say, I don't think we need to be telling or having us rush out and remove any of the hard work or any, cost prohibitive. But I think that we are acting in good faith to correct our problems. And I guess we'll just say mea culpa and move on, but I think this is a good move to do.
Any further discussion? Councilman Weisenberg?
I just wanna say thanks for, moving on this quickly and, trying to fix the issues at hand, so appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
I'm sorry, I'm get that.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Speak loudly.
Online voting has now closed. The motion carries with 7 yeas.
Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is an executive session. I would entertain a motion from Vice Mayor Wells. Sorry.
I move to go into executive session at 6:49 PM per Wyoming statute 164405 to consider or receive any information classified as confidential by law.
Linda seconds it, so move, there's been a motion made and seconded to go into executive session at 6:49, per Wyoming statute 16-4-405 to consider or receive any information classified as confidential by law. Please open online voting.
Open.
I vote yes. Sorry about that.
Online voting has now closed. The motion carries with 7 yeas.
Thank you.
Yeah, in case anyone wants